Chemical bonding, using bond length and bond enthalpy to model internuclear attractions. In this tutorial, we will be revisiting why elements form chemical bonds, bond energy and bond lengths, the relationship between average bond length and average bond enthalpy, using models to show differences between bond energy and bond lengths, and some worked examples at the end. Revisiting why elements form chemical bonds. When two atoms approach each other, the electrons of one atom are attracted to the nucleus of the other atom according to Coulomb's law. At the same time, the electrons of each atom repel the electrons of the other, and the nucleus of each atom repels the nucleus of the other. Chemical bonds will form if the system can lower its overall potential energy. In a bond between two hydrogen atoms, the system will act to minimize the sum of the positive or repulsive energy terms and the negative or attractive energy terms. The distance where the energy is minimal is called the bond length, and we can see in this simulation right here, the bond length goes from the y-axis all the way to the middle of the well. The relationship between average bond length and average bond enthalpy. The average bond length represents the average length of a bond between two particular atoms in a large number of compounds. As with bond enthalpies, bond lengths depend on the kind of atoms involved in the bond as well as the type of bond. In other words, are you dealing with a single bond, a double bond, or a triple bond? In general, triple bonds are shorter than double bonds, which are shorter than single bonds. Let's look at an example. Consider the bond lengths of carbon to carbon, triple, double, and single bonds. So in the single bond between the two carbon atoms, the bond length is 154 picometers and the bond energy is 347 kilojoules per mole. With the double bond between the two carbon atoms, the bond length decreases to 134 picometers and the bond energy increases to 611 kilojoules per mole. Finally, with the triple bond between the two carbon atoms, the bond length continues to decrease to 120 picometers and the bond energy increases to 891 kilojoules per mole. So as the number of bonds between the carbon atoms increase, the bond enthalpy also increases and the bond length decreases. In general, as the number of bonds between two atoms increases, the bond length decreases and the bond enthalpy increases. In other words, the bonds become stronger. Bond length and bond energy can be modeled in a graph of potential energy and internuclear distance. In the beginning, we can see the distance between the pinned atom and the moving atom is so great that there is no attractive forces between the atoms. In this model, attractive forces will be seen as an orange arrow and repulsive forces will be seen as pink arrows. As the mobile atom moves closer to the pinned atom, the attractive forces increase as seen by the orange arrows. At the same time, the pink arrows appear as the two atoms move closer and closer together. At the bottom of the well, where the potential energy of the atoms is the lowest, most negative, the attractive forces and repulsive forces are almost equal in magnitude. This amount of energy is known as the bond energy. The internuclear distance at this potential energy minimum is called the bond length or the equilibrium bond length. This distance is from the 0 point to the center of the well. In general, the stronger the bond, the smaller the bond length. As the atoms move closer together, the repulsive forces become larger than the attractive forces as seen by the pink arrows. Optimal distance is when the attractive and repulsive forces are equal to each other. Modeling internuclear attractions. Let's look at Model 1. In Model 1, the blue line represents diatomic hydrogen with a bond length of 74 picometers and a bond energy of 436 kilojoules per mole. In contrast, diatomic fluorine has a bond length of 142 picometers and 155 kilojoules per mole. This difference is due to the number of energy levels the electrons of each set of atoms occupies, along with the interaction of the valence electrons and the two nuclei that form the bond. Hydrogen only occupies the 1s sublevel, while fluorine's valence electrons occupy the 2s and 2p sublevels. Therefore, fluorine will have a longer bond length. A longer bond length means that a smaller amount of bond energy is released when a covalent bond is formed between the two fluorine atoms. Let's look at Model 2. In Model 2, the pink line represents diatomic chlorine with a bond length of 199 picometers and a bond energy of 240 kilojoules per mole. In contrast, diatomic bromine, represented by the purple line, has a bond length of 229 picometers and 190 kilojoules per mole. Like the previous example with the hydrogen and the fluorine, the relationship between the bond length and the bond energy can be seen here in these two single-bonded diatomic elements. The difference in bond length is based on occupied energy levels. Chlorine's valence electrons occupy the 3s and 3p sublevels, while bromine's valence electrons occupy the 4s and 4p sublevels. Bromine's longer bond length means it will have a lower bond energy than that of chlorine, and therefore a smaller well in this model. Finally, let's look at Model 3. Model 3 examines the internuclear attraction models of diatomic nitrogen with a triple bond, diatomic oxygen with a double bond, and diatomic chlorine with a single bond. While the previous two slides focused on all single-bonded diatomic elements, these models examine how the curves would be represented when a substance has multiple bonds. Nitrogen has the shortest bond length and greatest bond energy due to the presence of the triple bond between the two nitrogen atoms. Oxygen contains a double bond. Note that the well is not as deep, indicating a smaller bond energy, and the bond length is longer. Double bonds are longer than triple bonds, and we can see how this is represented here. Finally, diatomic chlorine. Chlorine with its single bond has the longest bond length. This, coupled with the fact that its valence electrons occupy the third principal energy level, while the valence electrons of nitrogen and oxygen are both in the second principal energy level. So the depth of the well, along with the bond length in these models, can provide information of how to differentiate between different substances. So what did you learn? We revisited why elements form chemical bonds. We talked about bond energy and bond lengths, the relationship between average bond length and average bond enthalpy, how to use models to show differences between bond energy and bond lengths, and then we did some worked examples at the end. Need more help? Feel free to contact me. Have a great day.